Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm Lene Meligard. I'm our VP of Marketing and Revenue at Volusion. For today's webinar, we're really excited to have one of our own team members here to share her expertise, our very own senior web designer, Jessica Resendez. She works with our studio team, which is our in-house marketing and design agency. Jessica is going to walk us through a handful of common design mistakes that are made that can really impact your conversion rates. And she'll show us how we can resolve those mistakes to increase conversions. Before we jump in, just a few housekeeping items to share. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please submit those during the webinar today. And then tomorrow, everyone will receive an email with a recording of the webinar, as well as answers to any of the questions that were submitted today. With that said, Jessica, I'll hand it over to you.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me in the next installment of Volusion's Success Webinar Series, Grow. Grow with Volusion is a series that's all about helping Volusion merchants like yourselves do that very thing, grow. Grow your business, grow your sales, and ultimately grow your success. Today we'll be discussing 5 common web design mistakes that potentially turn away customers and in turn cost you sales. We'll explore how to identify those mistakes on your stores and share solutions to correct them and get your online store on the right track. Before we get started, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jessica. I'm a senior web designer at Studio, and I will be your host today. Studio is a growth-focused design and marketing agency, and we work solely with e-commerce brands to help them grow their businesses. I have over 8 years of experience creating e-commerce store designs that not only look good, but increase site sales. At Studio, we work solely with e-commerce brands and focus heavily on growth and conversions. We're very proud of the fact that on average, we've helped businesses increase revenue by 90% year over year. Over the years, we've had the pleasure of working with some well-known brands, including Harley Davidson, Yankee Candle, and Bob Ross. Now that y'all know a little bit about me and Studio's background, let's jump right in and discuss mistake number 1. All right, so you've gotten people to come to your website, that's great, but you need to be sure you can get them where they want to be or they're likely to leave. Having a clear menu will help prevent bounces by helping shoppers get where they want to be more efficiently. To identify whether your navigation menu is effective, we'll review 2 things: menu location and simplicity. The 2 most common places you'll see a navigation menu is at the top of the page in the header in a horizontal layout, or a vertical left navigation with links that go down the page. If you have a large number of categories that you can't consolidate any further, or an extensive product inventory, a left navigation menu is the best way to organize your menu links. The image on the left here is an example of a design with a left navigation. You'll see they have a light purple banner at the top of the menu that draws the shopper's eye, followed by a list of different category and subcategory links that are distinctly styled for easier scannability. The other option is a top navigation, which allows you to utilize the entire width of the content area for the home page and other internal pages. As you can see on the image on the right, the navigation menu is placed in between the logo and search and cart areas in the header. All of the space below the header can now use the full content width instead of sharing that space with the left navigation. So usually that means the content can breathe a little bit more. Understanding which menu layout is right for you is crucial because locating the menu is the first step of the shopping process. Think of your navigation menu as the anchoring element that customers can rely on to shop your store. For being such a critical element of the shopping experience, it is crucial that it's clear and easy to understand. First, it should stand apart from the rest of the header elements. Using strategic style choices like color, font, and font size will help the navigation stand out. In the example on top, the menu links are in a difficult to read script font, and the order of the links themselves is not optimized for success. The products link is tucked away in between site tool links like About and Cart that aren't even shop-based. The design on the bottom illustrates how intentional navigation links work together to create a clear navigation. The menu links are now sitting within a distinct background area that draws attention, and the links themselves are in a more legible font in a larger size. Perhaps most importantly of all, you'll also notice how the navigation links are broken into multiple categories like bikes and frames and accessories, which are more specific and guide shoppers through your store in less clicks. Here's another example. Former client Posh Haus transformed the way their shoppers navigate their store by implementing a mega menu. This multi-column menu, combined with the addition of icons to represent each of their categories, helped guide shoppers down a shopping path more quickly and easily. This particular client had over 1,000 products in their inventory, so organizing their navigation in a clear and concise manner was very important. So now you've learned how menu location and simplicity can impact your store. So what are some things you can implement to improve your navigation? First, reorganize and streamline your navigation links. If you have a top navigation, make sure all your links fit comfortably in one row. This means allowing for there to be enough breathing room around each link without compromising legibility. So you want to be sure the links are large and clear enough to read, but not squished together or breaking up into 2 rows of links. Like this example, focus on placing shoppable links like product categories in the navigation to simplify the links for a clearer focus. Confusing navigation labels are a surefire way to lose customers, so ensuring your navigation menu is succinct is key. Research has shown that users decide within the first 10 seconds of visiting a page whether to stay or leave. So this means if they can't immediately locate the content they're looking for, they're gone. If you need some extra help organizing your links, consider implementing a mega menu. A mega menu functions by displaying your subcategory links in a multi-column dropdown, so this is best suited for stores with a lot of subcategories. A mega menu improves the shopping experience by allowing visitors to browse through your links more easily, since the links can be organized in a way that helps visitors drill down to their desired destination without having to do a lot of scrolling. Lastly, and maybe the easiest to implement, is to review the styling of your navigation menu. Almost too good to be true, but simply updating the font or using a strategic color can make a huge improvement. Is your navigation sitting within its own container or background, like on this example, so it can easily stand out? How is the font? Is the text clear and legible? Can you use a pop of color to draw the user's attention? Minor tweaks like these can make a big difference in improving the clarity of your navigation. Okay, our next mistake can really tank conversion rates. That's right, we're talking about a lack of calls to action. An astounding 70% of small business websites lack a clear call to action on their homepage, but the good news is that this mistake has a pretty easy fix, so let's take a closer look. First things first, what is a call to action anyway? A call to action is essentially just a button or a link that grabs your customer's attention that's designed to move them down the purchase funnel. A call to action makes it clear to potential customers which action to take next and removes friction in turning those potential customers into purchasers. There can be and should be multiple calls to action on a page, like your homepage, for example, so guiding your visitors with those calls to action will push them along the sales path. Here's an example of a site we designed for FR Depot with all of the call to action buttons and links removed for demonstrative purposes. You can still see things like titles and images that you can probably guess are clickable and take you somewhere, but it definitely isn't as clear as it should be. What you never want to do is keep a customer guessing or trying to figure out what to do. Now here's the same site and design, but with all the call to actions added back in. Now you can clearly see what to click on and what to do. The large bright red Shop Now buttons help guide customers to categories and products, moving them closer to purchasing, which is ultimately the goal. Clear call to actions really do make a difference. When we redesigned Bariatric Direct's website with a focus on clear calls to action and really optimizing every step of their purchase funnel, they saw a 360% increase in conversion. So clarity really can make a difference. So if your design is lacking clear calls to action, how do you fix it? Well, simply add some call to action buttons where you need them. A good rule of thumb is that if an item is linked, meaning when clicked, it will take a visitor to a different page, it should have a call to action. For example, it could be a button or text link that says shop now or view more styles, but you definitely want those clear calls to action throughout your homepage especially. Remember, giving customers these cues is super important in getting them to your product pages and ultimately making a purchase. So, what if you do have calls to action throughout your design, but they're not converting sales? Well, chances are they may not be grabbing the shopper's attention. So, evaluating the design of your calls to action is very important. We recommend choosing a color that matches or complements your branding, and one way to do so is by choosing a color that contrasts directly with your primary brand color. In this example, you can see a thoughtful combination of blue and orange colors. The blue is used to apply their branding throughout the design, but the orange color is used primarily to grab the shopper's attention. That high contrast really helps to direct shoppers to those specific areas. Some other elements to evaluate include the size of the call to action. They shouldn't be too subtle and should be large enough to catch the shopper's attention, and also the wording. So the less words you can use, the better, because people scan pages and absorb information very quickly. The call to action on the hero image on the left blends in with the body copy in that area. So placing the call to action copy within a button shape with distinct styling, like on the right, helps to guide shoppers. Let's move on now to mistake number 3. Did you know that 38% of people will stop engaging with the website if the content or layout are unattractive? Having an unorganized content layout will distract shoppers from what you sell, so being intentional with how your content is laid out on the page is very important. So, what does it mean to have a disorganized content layout? This is an example of a homepage with a poorly laid out content area. None of the image areas are in alignment. There's uneven spacing between the images below the hero image. The sizes of the images themselves are inconsistent, and the images have no text or calls to action, making it unclear what they're doing or promoting. Now, if we take that same design and apply some minor changes, the content layout has structure and provides clarity to your shoppers about what they're looking at and where to go in a way that's visually pleasing. The hero image packs a punch and now spans the full width of the content area. The images below it are equally sized and evenly spaced, with clear call to action buttons that are simply labeled, and every section is in alignment and feels balanced. So, what are some things you can do to fix your content layout if it's in a current state of disarray? Let's get into it. Make sure there's content for shoppers to engage with in the first place. A hero image or slideshow on its own isn't going to cut it, but there are lots of things to choose from when piecing together your content layout. That includes a promotion grid showcasing different categories, a featured product area so visitors can shop directly from your homepage, a media section like an embedded video perhaps, a testimonial section to add legitimacy to your brand, or an About Us area so shoppers can learn more about your business. Decide what's appropriate for your business and create a thoughtful hierarchy with headlines, body text, images, and calls to action to create a visually appealing content area. From a purely design perspective, make sure your content has an appropriate amount of white space. White space, sometimes referred to as negative space, is the empty area in between and around design elements. So on this example, the white space consists of the area above the headline that says gear for those in the arena and around the category promotions, just to name a few. Basically, white space helps organize your content by enhancing legibility so your content has enough room to breathe and the page doesn't feel too cluttered. Remember, your layout should consist of a structured grid for a clean look that is easy to scan. Within that layout, incorporate a diverse selection of products and categories for visitors to shop from. Think of the promotions on your homepage as an alternate avenue for shoppers to take into your interior shopping pages. And don't forget about clear calls to action like we talked about earlier. These 3 ideas work together to create an organized and effective content area. Our next mistake may feel daunting to correct, but let me tell you, it is such a worthy investment of time and resources as images can make or break your design. But don't worry, we're about to go over some different types of images and cover how to improve the images on your website. Original photos or stock photos, which are appropriate to use on my store. To put it plainly, original photos are preferred because they are original content of your actual products. Small or pixelated images that are poorly lit are not the types of images you should be using in your design. That goes for product images as well as any images you use on your homepage. Great photos of your products affirm shoppers that your business is legitimate and that your product actually exists, which of course is important. A common problem with stock photos is that a lot of the time they can be generic instead of thoughtful and unique to your business. There are, however, times when it is appropriate to incorporate stock photos as long as they're not too cheesy and work to sell visitors on the idea behind your product. This is an example of a design that uses stock photos to represent each of the categories on the homepage. You can see that each image has a similar brightness and tone for a cohesive look that feels intentional, even though they're stock images. Another problem we see a lot in terms of image quality is poor image sizing and scaling. Look at the example on the left here. The images on this homepage design are stretched, distorted, and pixelated, resulting in a cheap and unprofessional look. Worst of all, this decreases the trust visitors have in your business. The example on the right takes the same design with properly sized images, and the difference is clear as night and day. 75% of consumers say they judge a company's credibility based on the company's website design, and nowadays a large portion of website designs are image-based, so that makes the quality of your images a high priority. Regardless of whether you use original photos or stock photos, both types of images should be relevant and focus on your product. If your images aren't specific and they don't add value to your design, they're essentially a waste of space and resources. So, what are some things you can do to improve the quality of your images? First, shoot some new photos. You don't even need a professional camera, although if you do have one, use it, that's amazing. But phones are capable of producing store-worthy images. Some things to keep in mind include using a room with good lighting, using a tripod to reduce camera shake and standardize photo angles, and using a backdrop. Also, getting some great lifestyle shots that show your product in use will help visitors imagine themselves using your product and entice them to buy. Maybe you already have a bunch of great images, but they're either too big and slowing the load time or aren't consistent in size and affecting the design. Review all your images and make sure they're the appropriate sizes in areas like the homepage slideshow, a category promotion grid, or product images. There are several online tools that can help you resize and even edit your images, so definitely utilize those resources to ensure all images are consistent in size for uniformity and clarity. Here are a few image editing tools, including some free options like Canva, that can help you begin to create consistency in your images. Last but not least, and closing us out with mistake number 5, is having a non-responsive design. In a world where more than half of all global web traffic comes from mobile devices, it's crucial that your site is built with mobile friendliness in mind. This means your design must adapt seamlessly from the desktop experience to a tablet or mobile device. Let's take a closer look. For example, if someone visits your site on a mobile device but it takes too long for pictures to load or they have to zoom to read text, chances are they're going to leave your site and not come back. Responsive designs allow for content to be viewed quicker and more clearly, therefore providing an easy shopping experience that is more likely to result in sales. Your website should be accessible to everybody, regardless of their device. If you want your store to rank higher on Google search results, then your design must be responsive. Back in 2015, Google updated their algorithm, making mobile friendliness a ranking factor in Google search results. Since then, Google has only continued to prioritize mobile-friendly websites as mobile usage continues to increase. So, the bottom line is, if you want to stay on Google's good side, invest in a responsive design. We've seen real results with clients of ours who have gone responsive. For example, health food brand Skinny Shirataki Noodles saw a 487% increase in mobile conversions and a whopping 74% increase in revenue after getting a responsive design. I was actually the designer who created this design and worked with this client, and it was so satisfying to see the results they were able to achieve simply by modernizing their website design in a way that's mobile-friendly and easy to use. Now let's cover some ways you can fix your current design if it's non-responsive and how to implement a good-looking and effective web design. One way is by choosing a responsive theme. There's so many themes available that are already designed and coded to be responsive that will look great on all devices and set you on the right path. This option is probably the easiest and quickest way to go responsive since the design is already made and only requires you to plug in your content as needed. However, if you're interested in a more in-depth option, a custom responsive design is your best bet. Working with the designer who will get to know your personalized business needs and craft a responsive design with best practices in mind is a great way to make sure that all of your needs are met in the most efficient way possible. So there you have it. We've covered 5 common web design mistakes that potentially cost you sales and how to fix them. Hopefully you're coming away from this webinar with a list of some things you want to adjust to improve your store's design. Thank you all for joining me today. If you ever need any help, you can always find us at growwithstudio.com. My team and I are happy to discuss your site with you or answer any follow-up questions you might have. Thanks again for joining me and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing your design expertise with us all. Again, we'd like to thank you for attending this month's webinar. And if you're interested in watching again or you missed any portion of it, we'll be sending that video link to all of you tomorrow that you can review or bookmark it if you want. Thanks, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.